Peace, God. Namaste. Hotep by Shay 13 Love. So as I continue on with this right here, so this is the positive side. I'm gonna bring this back up again. This is about the reactivation of the DNA and what we are getting into. And this is something that's been talked about a long time ago. Like in the 90s, even before that, like in the 80s and shit like that. Even before that, you know what I'm saying? So it's just to show you the increase. Like if this is how it was being talked about it at that point, can you just imagine what's going on right now? So, on the positive side, doctors at UCLA began about 5 years ago examining a young boy who had been born with AIDS. He had been checked at birth at 6 months, again and again at 1 year. He still had AIDS. He wasn't checked again until he was about 5. When they checked him this time, all traces of the AIDS virus were gone. It was as though he had never contracted AIDS. They didn't know his system became immune. All they knew was that it did. They checked everything they could think of, including his DNA. It was here where they found a change. This young boy did not have human DNA. We have 64 codons in our DNA, but in normal humans, only 20 of these codons are turned on. The rest are inert or not working except for 3, which are the stop and the start programming. This young boy had 24 codons turned on. He had found a way to mutate that made him immune to AIDS. In fact, when they were testing him, they found that he was immune to everything. They found that his immune system was 3,000 times stronger than the normal humans. So he programmed himself, you know what I'm saying? You're living in a hologram world, so you can basically, like a stone, we speak upon programming, that you can activate yourself to whatever level you want. You can will yourself into whatever level you want, whatever it is that you are willing to take, you know what I'm saying? So as I continue on. And this is just all about your imagination. Your meditation will take you there. So the more, these children, before you're born here, you're made here, you're meditating on this reality. So you're meditating your awakening. So like when you start waking up and when you're in the path of doing your thing, you start realizing that you plan your life to be like this. Like, like how Tupac used to say that everything in his life was calculated. Every move was calculated, and that was from the past life experience of knowing the numerology and all this and that, you know what I'm saying, to get to the equivalence of where it's at. So, as we continue on, then they found another child with the same situation coming out of AIDS and turning on the same 24 codons. Becoming immune to AIDS and other diseases, they found 100, then 10,000. UCLA now believes that 1% of the world has made this change. They now believe that 55 million children and adults are no longer human. By DNA definition, there are so many people doing this now that science believes that a new human race is being born at this time, and that it seems to have come out of AIDS. It is almost impossible for these people to become sick. It is also interesting that in November 1998, it was announced that in 1997, AIDS dropped off by 47%, which is the biggest drop in history for any major disease. Could this be one of the reasons? Further, in cracking the Bible code, when they ran the word AIDS into the code, they found all the usual associated words. They saw the words in the blood, death, annihilation in the form of a virus, the immunity, the HIV destroyed, and many more. However, there were certain other words that did not make sense to those researchers, but that only now can be understood in the light of the previous information. They found the words that end to all diseases. This is perhaps the single most important event in the world today. So, that's a transformation of our DNA, you know what I'm saying, of our codes and stuff like that. As you can see, like, you can take it to whatever level you want, man. That's the positive side, that you have the ability, you have the power to change whatever it is, you know what I'm saying, to do whatever it is you got to do. And it has to be for good, for healing. You know how, for instance, this pussy bitch ass nigga Hitler was trying to, do his little thing, but it was all always an experimentation. Like, I wonder, I want to rule this, and it was like, it had nothing to do with healing. It had nothing to do with real love. No 13 love in there at all, man. No 13 respect there. You know what I'm saying? It was just straight cruelty and poison. So we gotta acknowledge that, and then we gotta look at, we just gotta acknowledge the people that he was around with, who assisted him in his journey. Like, we gotta see who didn't put him in his place when they had a chance to. You know what I'm saying? That's all we gotta say. So the human DNA, you reactivating, my nigga. Me and you, we reactivating. We getting back to where we need to be at. You know what I'm saying? We getting our shit, our energy increasing. Like Dragon Ball Z and all that. Like, the energy just start rising up. You know what I'm saying? That's what we doing, man. We blowing up. So, you gotta eat right, though. You have to, if you gotta check this out. Like, when I read this, you know what I'm saying, you gotta acknowledge you gotta acknowledge what is being said. If a race of children of us, the same people, if we are able to activate ourselves out of something so devastating like AIDS. AIDS is the point where, you know what I'm saying, you have a parasite in you that's draining you out so much, you know what I'm saying, a spiritual entity, a negative entity that's draining your energy out. It's like, because when I say this, is this is what I mean. Peep this out, because it all deals with spirituality. Like, when you look at the movie, what's that movie called? That Exorcism or whatever bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You see that shit. You see that the bitch looked sick, and what she did, as one of the ways of disrespecting whatever they were doing, was vomiting. Ugh, look at all this shit. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta acknowledge the dirty, low root chakra mentality that this individual had. And vomiting it dealt with like being sick, you know what I'm saying, and you see the face, it was sick. So we're talking about people, it deals with all spirituality, all sicknesses and shit like that. So that if people can come out of a situation with AIDS and come out to become superhumans, then imagine what you could do by doing right, my nigga, and having the opportunity to do that right now. You're not here right now for no reason, my nigga. On some real shit, if you really to think about it, you're not here in this planet Earth right now at this moment, day and time or whatever, for just to kick back and just relax and enjoy your view or whatever. If you acknowledge the situation that you're in, it's the time to do something. Like, you have the ability, the power to acknowledge that you can wake up and do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just common sense, my nigga. It's like letting you know, like, you know what I mean? Let me see if I find something real quick. Because it's like, people gotta be on point about these type of shits real quick. You know what I'm saying? The position of the equinox and the other wobbles. Going on to why this change is happening at this moment. Our Earth currently tilts approximately 23 degrees to the plane of its orbit around the sun, and the Earth orbits the sun. The angle that the light hits the surface of the Earth changes depending on where it is in its orbit. This is why we have 4 seasons. Within this yearly rotation, there's another very slow wobble, which most people know as the precession of the equinox, which takes almost 26,000 years to complete. To be more accurate, it's about 25,920 years. It's around there. I'm not saying for sure with that, because, it can go 28. I'm just breaking down what I got. So I'm not going to try to speak too much upon this. So depends on who you read, because everybody comes up with a few years difference. There are other wobbles too. For example, that plus 23-degree angle to the sun is not fixed. There's a wobble of about 40,000 years where it changes about 3 degrees from about 23 to about 26 degrees. Then there's another wobble inside the little 3-degree wobble that completes a cycle about every 14 months. And 26 degrees, 26, saying divide that by 2 and you get 13. So you gotta acknowledge those things right there. And then a cycle about every 14 months, like Osiris and shit like that, which is also dealing with the 13 and just one more aspect of everything being all as one. And alright. So, and they've discovered another one that completes about every 14 years. Now they say they've discovered yet another one. If you read the ancient Sanskrit writings, all these wobbles are profoundly important for consciousness on the planet. They're tied directly to a specific event and to the time these events happen on the planet, just as our DNA is tied to the various phases in the growth of the human body. For now, I just want to look at the main wobble, which is called the precession of the equinox. This wobble moves in an oval pattern, and the large oval is the wobble itself. The right end on the long axis of the oval is called the apogee or apogee, which points toward the center of the galaxy. The bottom half of the oval shows when the planet is heading toward the center of the galaxy, and the top half shows when the planet has come back around and is heading away from the center. This movement away from the center of the galaxy is also called going with the galactic wind. The Sanskrit writings say that the ancient beings who somehow knew about the precession say that it's not at the far ends of the oval when great changes take place, but slightly after these extreme points are passed, at the points indicated by the 2 small ovals at A and C. Great changes take place at those 2 points. Now, if you acknowledge that, this is what I mean, like, we're here for this reason, like, we acknowledging these things. A lot of people don't even know what's going on, and that's why I'm letting you know, like, this is the time for you to awaken and to use your ability even 10 times greater. Because if this happened, if what I was reading about, the great DNA activation that happened in 1997 and recorded at that time, because it happened even before that, it's showing you, and it wasn't even at this moment in time yet. Like, a lot of our ancestors, they try to make it to this level. That's why we here. We are ancestors. That's why they sacrifice themselves for us to get here to this level, for us to do what we got to do. See, but a lot of people is not acknowledging this shit. They just thinking that this shit is not real. Like, this is not in just one culture. I'm not representing one religion or some shit. I'm representing what it is, man. The truth, man. That's it. So you can see this in different cultures talking about it, but giving you the runaround, the flimsy part about it. So we giving you that direct shit. Even when I'm reading this, I'm jumping around, my nigga. It's not written like, it ain't written. This book ain't written like that. Like, you have to break it down yourself, you know what I'm saying? So it's not written exactly how I'm saying it. It's like, it's put together, you know what I'm saying? It's a piece of the puzzle, you feel me? So the great changes, and look, this is the figurine right here. You could look at that, and you could pause it and do what you do, whatever you could, you know what I'm saying? But that's right here, that's the part of the awakening, you know what I'm saying, where it's like in the middle, not at the points, you know what I'm saying? That's the point where you know what I'm saying? That's basically what we could say those points are. That point right there is basically the point where you hit your chakra. Boom, the explosion. The other points that are in between your chakra, which is, you know what I'm saying, in your heart. Because right now, as we're going through this phase right here, it's basically, it's really, let me just keep reading. It's really dealing with your body inside of you. It's something that's intaking with you inside of you. So check this out. Boom, boom, boom. According to the ancient writings, when we reach the upper small oval, moving away from the center, which is C, of the galaxy, we begin to fall asleep. and keep losing consciousness and falling through the dimensional levels until we come to the place at the lower small oval when we start to wake up and begin to move up through the dimensional levels. We wake up in a definite stages until we get to the upper oval again when we fall asleep again. But this is not a closed pattern because we're moving through space. It's a helical open pattern like a spring, not a repeating cycle as within a circle. So in other words, it's not going around in a circle where it continues going the same way. It's actually spinning around as a spiral rising up. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like it's actually, you know, rising up in a spiral like motion. You feel me? So we every time we get to this point, we go to a higher level. So this sleeping time that they're talking about is to those that are not prepared for this. It's the time of sleeping. But for those that are prepared, like us, when we hit that stage, what happens when a lot of people go to sleep? You know, I don't go to sleep. I get deep. Because when I go to the dream realm, I'm lucid dreaming. While others are still sleeping, thinking that they're still in this reality when they're not. So they're pretty much in a stuck mentality where they don't even know that they even have a life. A lot of people don't even know that they even have a right to even dream. That they don't even think that they have the ability to dream. So that's something right there alone telling you that, you know, some people stay asleep and some people don't. You know what I'm saying? Some people believe in the true heaven and some people don't. You know, some people think that heaven is after you dead and shit. Like you have to pass away and shit like that. No, all you have to do is astral project, and that's where you get to And in all actuality, you know, what I mean by that is you could do it mind, body, and soul as well too. I'm not just talking some spookism shit. I'm talking some real shit where you can manifest that shit here. That's why a lot of people go around, you know, trying to look at these things like they have different things like, you know, how to attract things, law of attraction. Like, how does that really work? You see, they teach you a way of selling yourself out. You know what I'm saying? Giving yourself out instead of doing it the right way, making it seem like you can do whatever you want and get it however you want, whenever you want, and it don't work like that. Niggas know it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? That's why they on violation right there. They're just trying to drag you down. You know what I'm saying? So what we're getting into is a spiral spiraling into it. You know what I'm saying? We rising up a little bit higher. So every time we get higher and higher, right? So right now we're developing that level right now. So the time of awakening is right now. So you can actually be prepared for this type of shit, this ride. You know what I'm saying? It's a wave. You can feel it through instead of just reincarnating and not knowing what's happening. Instead of reincarnating and coming back and repeating the same shit, or reincarnating into a higher being. You feel me? So if you look at, let me see, we wake up. It's because of that. Each time around, we fall asleep a little less than the time before, and wake up a little more. A similar cycle occurs on Earth each day. If you look at the Earth from space, it is half dark and half light at any moment, and the people on the dark side are pretty much asleep, and the people on the light side are pretty much awake. Even though we have day and night, we don't repeat the same things over and over. But hopefully we wake up and become more conscious each and every day. Even though we fall asleep and wake up, we keep going further each time. This precession of the equinox is just the same, only it's a much longer cycle. You know what I'm saying? So they call it as the yugas and shit like that. It's something that, you know, we're at the Kali Yuga by about 900 years. You know what I'm saying? We're now in the ascending, the Rupa Yuga. You know, so it's, you know, and then comes the descending Treta Yuga, the Prada Yuga, and Kali Yuga at the other end. You know, so it's a whole bunch of things. 24,000 years. You know, and they just talk about the yuga is around 150,000 years, like how the cycles continue on. So it's like 300,000 years added onto that, 300,000 years more. You know what I'm saying? So it's a huge cycle. It's not like just some 300,000. It's like some light years going on into this thing right here, man. You know what I'm saying? But, and look, the last shift took place right at the upper oval a little less than 13,000 years ago. And this was in the center in Hawaii, they say. So they discovered an early magnetic North Pole that was not where it is now, but a long way away, centered in Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is, my niggas. So you already know where we in right now. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have the ability to even increase even more. So peace, God. Namaste. 13th over tune. Boom.